All right, everyone, there's a couple brand new Switch stories that dropped that we got to talk about today, starting with a new leak making the rounds online, suggesting that we may be getting a new type of Mario game on the Nintendo Switch in 2022, and I want to break down where this leak stems from and whether or not we can give it any form of credibility. And then the big talking point for today's video is E3 2022 being all but confirmed to be canceled, and what this will mean for the future of Nintendo Direct presentations going forward. What's up, Nation? If it's your first time on the channel, make sure you join Sunbro Nation by subscribing below, hit the like button on this video if you enjoy it today, and make sure you turn on your bell notification icon so you're kept up to date with all the newest gaming news. Now, as I mentioned, guys, we are hopping through a couple different stories today, and I want to kick it off with a leak that has been making the rounds online, suggesting that we will get a new Mario game coming to the Nintendo Switch in the year of 2022. And the reason I want to cover this leak, while in general my opinion on this leaker is very 50-50, as they have gotten certain things, most notably further in the past, very correct and very hard to predict, and then they've gotten things more recently like totally wrong and just completely missed the ball. So take this with what you will. I mean, I don't think I'm giving full credibility to this person at all, but I at least want to talk about it because they did previously leak a Mario sports title, which was Mario Golf Super Rush, a few months before we had any clue that that project was in the works. And while you can say it's a pretty easy bet to say that Nintendo will always be working on some kind of Mario sports title, they did speculate that it would be golf. It did happen, and we are talking about Zippo today, and he has updated his blog post to suggest that in the year of 2022 we can expect a new Mario sports title, and he is predicting that it would be a baseball game. But just so we're all on the same page with the information that is out there right now, I want to quickly hop over to the blog post to highlight what's being claimed exactly from him. And he is saying that he doesn't have full information, but he has some, and he then goes on to speculate based off the information he has what he thinks the game will be. So let's quickly read through that together. So over on Zippo's blog post page, he has a full section dedicated to Nintendo Switch 2022 titles, and he has the following to say about a Mario sports game. He says, a new Mario sports game. All right, so here comes the part where I'll separate speculation from insider information. I'll go with the latter first. What I've heard that there is another Mario sports game in development, this time being developed by Bandai Namco, whose last installment in the world of Mario sports games was Mario Sports Superstars for the 3DS, where they handled the soccer and baseball sections. I do not know the sport they'll be tackling at this very moment. My prediction batters up because I believe that Bandai Namco are returning to the world of baseball. This will be the first Mario baseball game in nearly 15 years, and I expect a huge cast of playable characters, including some Namco guests. Pac-Man, Don-Chan, and Klonoa would all make sense to me. Here's another funny thing I noticed last year. We may have already seen the type of outfits Mario Company will be rocking in this possible new game. Bandai Namco works extensively on Mario Kart Tour, so that's an interesting connection if that turns out to be the case. So again, while this is not full-on confirmation that we can expect a Mario sports title to come out in 2022, I at least wanted to put the idea out there, as it is an interesting talking point, and this is the same person that did go on record stating that Mario Golf Super Rush would be a thing before we officially knew about that. So maybe they have some kind of inside connection on the sports side of things with Nintendo. Maybe they don't, because as I've mentioned, they have been very spotty as in more recent months than they were with a more reliable track record in the past. And you know me, if you've been around on the channel for a while, when it comes to leaks, I tend to not believe them and think that a lot of these are really just people speculating that, you know, if you look at the news cycle for Nintendo, you can predict a certain amount of things, and if you get 2 or 3 things right, then all of a sudden you get the title that you're an insider or a leaker. And I tend to gravitate more towards gaming journalists or news website reporters that actually work in the gaming industries and form partnerships and friendships with game developers who would have that true inside knowledge. So again, that's where I fall on everything. Either way, I want to hear from you guys what kind of Mario sports title you would want to see next, because for me personally, I would love to see the Striker series come back from the GameCube and Wii era. Like, those were truly some of the most enjoyable Mario sports games in my opinion, and I just think we're long overdue for one of them. But of course, I could see baseball being a nice fun experience as well, as I did enjoy Mario Golf Super Rush most recently. Also, I just thought the game launched very light in content, and since Nintendo has continued to update it, and now you could argue it's the full game that it should have been at launch, at least in my opinion. But I want to know what you guys want to see from the future of Mario sports games going forward, and whether or not you do think that we will get a surprise announcement in the year of 2022 with a new Mario Sports title, and let me know which direction you hope Nintendo goes personally for the future of Mario Sports games. Now, the next story we're talking about today has to do with the future of Nintendo Direct presentations potentially being changed forever, as there is a lot of information floating around. While we're waiting on either like a February or March Direct, we have to fast forward past that and talk about what happens every year in the summer. Traditionally, up to this point in time, Nintendo has always held a Nintendo Direct E3 presentation, and E3 is in the news today because it's looking like there's more and more mounting information that suggests that this event will be canceled altogether, not just physically, as has already been confirmed that it would only be a digital event if we get one at all. We now have new information to suggest that we may not get an E3 at all whatsoever, and then I want to have the discussion around what that means for Nintendo if this hallmark staple annual event doesn't take place, and what we can expect from them in terms of a summer direct if it does not indeed happen to be part of the E3 Expo showcase. So to kick off this conversation, I want to hop over to Nintendo Life, where they have all of the newest information around what has been said and what's been claimed as far as E3 potentially being canceled altogether in the year of 2022. E3 2022 in doubt as journalist claims digital event is probably also canceled. Could it be scrapped altogether this year? Remember earlier this month when the ESA announced that E3 would once again be ditching its physical event for 2022? Well, things might be even more gloomy than we originally thought. The Entertainment Software Association's statement, released just days after the turn of the year, explained that E3 2022 wouldn't go ahead as a physical event thanks to the ongoing health risks caused by COVID-19. We are nonetheless excited about the future of E3 and look forward to announcing more details soon, the message said. The statement stopped short of confirming whether or not a digital-only event, as we've become accustomed to at this point, would be returning for 2022 in its place, but VentureBeat journalist Jeff Grubb believes that it has probably also been canceled. While nothing's been confirmed either way just yet, it's hard not to be concerned given Grubb's impressive track record with games industry scoops. Here's what he had to say speaking on TikTok. E3's been canceled. Well, physically it's been canceled, digitally probably also canceled. Naturally, we'll make sure to update you with any news directly from the ESA as soon as we hear more. Of course, we will still have Jeff Keighley's never-ending parade of broadcasts and reveals thanks to Summer Games Fest 2022. So first off, I just have to comment and say my own personal feelings, which is that I will be very sad to see E3 die and go away if this is indeed canceled altogether. And obviously, it's not out of the realm of possibility that it makes a reemergence in the future. But, you know, as somebody who's grown up being a fan of video games my entire life, E3 is essentially a gamer's Christmas, as you just know for at least 3 to 5 days, you literally have announcement after announcement of major video games, and all of the big guys like to kind of compete with each other, and over the years it's definitely gotten less and less of that, as we've seen Sony completely pull themselves from the event and sometimes just hold their own state of play or games showcase whenever they feel fit in the following months of that summer kind of window. But I always like having a strict schedule around when to expect announcements, and you know, working another job, I would literally always have those days planned to be able to either be in front of the computer or have them completely off so I could watch the streams live when they happen, because that's just always been an enjoyable moment for me. And you know that the companies like to show up with the big guns and kind of steal the show at the end of the day in terms of media coverage and things, while you also have to acknowledge that we are fully changing how we deliver media as a whole nowadays, as these companies don't really need this organized event to have their audience get these announcements. That's why we see things just dropped on Twitter from Nintendo or Nintendo's YouTube account, which I don't know how many millions of subscribers that they have at the moment, but they get that message out there direct to their fans and their audience through these new social media platforms that have emerged over the years. So E3 is not the mandatory event that it used to be for these companies, but that is a sad conversation to see transition away from it, because for gamers that like to plan every single year that summertime June window showcase is going to happen and deliver all the massive announcements, well, now we don't have that to look forward to potentially. Now, obviously this doesn't confirm that E3 has been canceled, and I'm still hopeful that maybe we will just see a regular Nintendo E3 Direct take place and everything just goes according to schedule and it's just another digital event, and maybe we see it return back to a physical event by next year. Like, who knows what's really going to happen at the end of all of this, but I do think it creates an interesting talking point, because if it is indeed canceled and nobody has to pay kind of the fees and prices that are associated with something like the E3 Expo, like, it makes more sense on paper for companies that can just get their message out there to hold their own independent events. The problem with that is, and I guess I do actually like to see what Jeff Keighley's trying to do with Summer Games Fest, is just like, at least we know when these are going to happen and we have it to look forward to, kind of like a celebration week for gaming, as opposed to it just being random scatter drop events where we get the announcement that in June sometime Nintendo's going to hold their June Nintendo Direct, not their E3 presentation. Like, it'll feel very different if they do ditch E3 altogether, but that may ultimately be the future, as unless if E3 really kind of rebrands itself and maybe adjusts prices and things, because I know they're charging exorbitant amounts of money to be a part of the event, when really you can argue that the name E3 is not what is drawing gamers to look at these presentations. Like, they're probably going to watch them either way. So I don't know. I think it's an interesting talking point. I definitely want to see E3 continue personally, but I think that some changes have to be made if we can expect this event to be held going forward. But at this point in the video, guys, I want to hear from you on what you personally think Nintendo will do if E3 is indeed canceled altogether this year. Do you think we still get that summer blowout showcase? What games do you hope we see there? Or do you think it's something that Nintendo may reassess and move around their schedule altogether and do a direct at a different time of the year, as opposed to that June, July E3 style window? So I want to hear from you guys and all your thoughts and feelings on this in the comments down below before you leave the video, as I do look forward to getting a back and forth conversation started with you all around these topics. Thanks so much for watching the video today, everyone. I do truly appreciate you all sticking around until the end. I do, at this point in the video, want to invite you all one more time to join Sunbro Nation if you haven't done so already. Do so by subscribing below, hit the like button on your way out if you enjoyed it today, and make sure you turn on your bell notification icon so you're kept up to date with all the newest gaming news. That's going to do it for me, guys. I hope you all have a great day. Sunbro Nation, out.